It works.
I've been listening to Mick singing since the 1970s, and
The same song, actually.
yeah, but he's been a great presence in music in this county, I suppose. Really, certainly everything that happened to do with music in Oxford was Irish music was going by Mick, and the Joyce Evening, for instance, which he's been doing since the 80s, and now his Marriage Made in Heaven with Mick, really. It's given a new impetus to it all, really.
Absolutely.
A few years ago, 20 plus years ago now, a man who was reclaiming land, draining land by the side of a lake under the mountain, under Clora Mountain near Mel Street in County Cork, dredged up a boat, a log boat, as in Robinson Crusoe, that kind of thing. And it was dated back to the 2nd or 3rd century AD by the archaeologists, and it's still there. It's an extraordinary kind of time traveller in this very beautiful place. The place is called Common-Shruish. The parish, as I said, is Mill Street, which is kind of nowhere. It's a small town, but not much bigger than Stonesfield, really. But they had the Eurovision Song Contest there in 1991. For reasons that remain more or less mysterious, really, but they did. Anyway, this is the Iron Age boat at Common-Shruish. If you doubt, you can put your fingers in the holes where the oar pegs went. If you doubt still, look past its deep mooring to the mountains that enfold the Corrie's waterfall of lace, through which, they say, you can see out but not in. If you doubt that, hear the falcon crying down from Geneve's bog, cut from the mountain top. And if you doubt after all these witnesses, no boat dredged back from the dead could make you believe.
I played it well.
By myself I'd be in Arnie Coon, where the mountain stands away, and it's I would watch the sunday go in the cuckoo's glen above the bay. Agus ag éire agus ó, éire London agus ó, 'tis the quiet land of Erin. Oh, my heart is weary all alone, and it sends out lonely cries to the land that seems beyond my dreams, and the lonely Sundays pass me by. Agus ag éire agus ó, éire London agus ó, 'tis the quiet land of Erin. I would ravel back the twisted years in the bitter wasted winds, if the God above would let me lie in the quiet place above the winds. Agus ag éire agus ó, éire London agus ó, 'tis the quiet land of Erin. By myself I'd be in Arnie Coon, where the mountain stands away, and 'tis I would watch the Sunday go in the cuckoo's glen above the bay. Agus ag éire agus ó, éire London agus ó, 'tis the quiet land of Erin.
But there are very strict rules about protocol in musical gatherings, Irish ones anyway. And there's a book by Kieran Carson called Irish Traditional Music, which tells you when you can offer your services. You know, when you can say I can play as well. Do you mind? I brought my fiddle, that kind of thing. You can't do that. You have to wait for about 6 months before you're asked. And in the course of the protocols, at the end of this book, he describes a fiddle competition, because of course it can also be very rivalrous. That's the other great quality. The fiddle competition. There was this fiddle competition once upon a time, and there were 3 fiddle players in for it. The first fiddle player came up. He was dressed in a dress suit. He was wearing a white shirt and a dicky bow, and he was carrying a crocodile skin fiddle case. And when he brought out the fiddle, what was it but a Stradivarius? He started to play, and begod, he was useless. The second fiddle player came up. He was dressed in a 3-piece lounge suit and a matching shirt and tie. He had a nice mahogany fiddle case and a good fiddle. He rosined the bow and he drew it across the strings, and begod, he was useless. So, the third fiddle player came up. He had now battered shiny blue suit, and there was no collar to his shirt. His toes were peeping out from his shoes, and the fiddle case was held together with bits of string. He brought out the fiddle, and there were more strings on the fiddle than there were on the bow. He started to play, and because he was useless too.
You may strain your muscles to brag of Brussels, of London, Paris, or Timbuktu, Constantinople or Sebastopol, Vienna, Naples, or Tongataboo, of Copenhagen, Madrid, Kilbeggan, or the capital of the Russian Tsar. They're all inferior to the vast superior and gorgeous city of Mullingar. That fair metropolis, so fair and populous, adorns the regions of sweet Westmeath, that fertile county which nature's bounty has richly gifted with bog and heath. Them scenes so charming, where snipes are swarming, attracts the sportsman that comes from far, and whoever wishes can catch fine fishes in deep Loch Owl near Mullingar. I could stray forever by Brosna's river, or watch her waters in their sparkling fall, with gander swimming and gaily skimming o'er the crystal bosom of the Royal Canal, or on Thursdays wander mid pigs so tender, with geese and turkeys on many a car, exchanging pleasantry with the grand old peasantry that throng the markets at Mullingar. Ye nine inspire me, and with raptures fire me, to sing the buildings both old and new, the majestic courthouse, the spacious workhouse, the church and steeple that adorn the view. Then there's barracks airy for the military, where the brave repose from the toils of war. 5 schools, a nunnery, and a thriving tannery in the gorgeous city of Mullingar. The railway station with admiration I next must mention in terms of praise, where trains are rolling, where the engines howling, strikes each beholder with wild amaze. Then there's the main street, the broad and clean street, with its rows of gas lamps that shine afar. Sure, I could speak a lecture on the architecture of the gorgeous city of Mullingar. The men of genius contemporaneous approach spontaneous this favoured spot, where good society and great variety of entertainment is still their lot. The neighbouring quality for hospitality and conviviality unequalled are, and from December until November there's still diversion in Mullingar. Now, in conclusion, I make allusion to the gorgeous females that here abound, celestial creatures with lovely features and taper ankle to skim the ground. But this suspends me, the theme transcends me, my muse's powers are too weak be far. It would take a Tullus likewise Tibullus to sing the praises of Mullingar. That's it. You got it. Okay.
And one of the momentous things in Ireland the last few years was the death of Seamus Heaney 2.5 years ago, and it's still very kind of present in everybody's memory there, and constantly kind of talked about, and but it was slightly palliated, by the fact recently that his translation of Aeneid Book 6, which was one of the great kind of literary texts that he was constantly coming back to, about the travels of Aeneas in the Aeneid through the afterlife, where he meets his father Anchises, and the encounter of somebody from this life with the afterlife. There are several episodes like that in the Aeneid, and Heaney's last book, which seems very prophetic of his death really in 2010, called Human Chain, about human interconnectedness, comes back a lot to the stories there. But the great episode really is, which is repeated in the Aeneid, is in Book 6, is when it says that Aeneas finally encounters his father Anchises, and also earlier on encounters the shadow, the shade, the soul of his wife Creusa, and tries to, in both cases, the same lines are repeated. He tries to embrace them, but his arms just pass through them because he's a figure with a physical body trying to embrace somebody who is just spirit and doesn't have a body anymore. So it's very poignant, really. And I'm applying it here to the kind of thing that you get in, at least in my earlier life. You got in the Irish countryside, where you often marriage was much later, and non-marriage was much commoner. So very often on a farm you'd have two brothers, two sisters, or a sister and brother, who kind of live together all their lives, living very kind of remote, kind of uncontacting kind of lives, until one of them dies and the other is left on their own, and then they die as well. It's a great kind of another form of poignancy, really. The device called Ter Conatus, because 3 times Aeneas tries Ter, 3 times Conatus. He tried to embrace his father or his wife. Ter Conatus. Sister and brother, nearly 60 years they'd farmed together, never touching once. Of late, she had been coping with a pain in her back, realization dawning slowly that it grew differently from the warm ache that resulted periodically from heaving churns onto the milking stand. She wondered about the doctor. When finally she went, it was too late, even for chemotherapy. And still she wouldn't have got round to telling him, except that one night, watching television, it got so bad she gasped and struggled up, holding her waist. "Do you want a hand?" he asked, taking a step towards her. "I can manage," she answered, feeling for the stairs. 3 times like that he tried to reach her, but being so little practised in such gestures, 3 times the hand fell back and took its place unmoving at his side. After the burial, he let things take their course. The neighbours watched in pity, the rolled-up bales standing silent in the fields, with the aftergrass growing into them, and wondered what he could be thinking of, which was that evening when, almost breaking with a lifetime of taking real things for shadows, he might have embraced her with a brother's arms.
Bang. Soar high at morn to sing up in the blue. I have heard the blackbird pipe his song, the thrush and the linnet too. but none of them can sing so sweet, my singing bird, as you. Oh, 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 my singing bird as you. If I could lure my singing bird from his own cozy nest, or if I could catch my singing bird, I would warm him on my breast. For none of them can sing so sweet, my singing bird, as you. Oh, 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 my singing bird as you. Then I will climb yon high, high tree, and I'll rob that wild bird's nest, and I'll bring back my singing bird to the arms that I love best. For none of them can sing so sweet, my singing bird, as you. Oh, 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 my singing bird as you. I have seen the lark soar high at morn to sing up in the blue. I have heard the blackbird pipe his song, the thrush and the linnet too. But none of them can sing so sweet, my singing bird, as you. Oh, 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 my singing bird as you.